both sides. That's what I told On or off? That's on.
I would like to open the session with a report from closed session.
Yes, with respect to every item of business discussed in closed session pursuant to sections 54957, public employment. In closed session, the board took action to approve the following staff recommendations effective July 1st, 2019. The following administrative staff and assignments are: Susan Miller is assigned as principal of New Technology High School, which I understand she's here. And Robert Ruth is assigned as assistant principal of American Canyon Middle School. I understand he couldn't be here, but welcome. And Krista Tate is assigned as assistant principal of New Technology High School as well, which I understand she's here. Thank you, welcome.
On behalf of the superintendent of the school board, we want to welcome you both to our management team. We know Susan was serving as the assistant principal, and we congratulate her and commend her on becoming the new principal at the site, and welcome to our new assistant principal. So thank you for stepping up.
And those are all the reportable items. Thank you.
Thank you. Sorry, I'm still in my vacation haze. With that, we'll go to the flag salute. And I would like to ask our new student representative, Alondra Madrigal, to lead us in the salute.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Uh-oh. Okay. This meeting is recorded for live streaming and archiving on the district YouTube channel. Approval of agenda. Before I ask for approval of agenda, I would like to note that item D.2.A.2 will be deleted, in so much as action was taken at our last board meeting. With that, I'll entertain a motion to approve the agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Mr. Gracia, seconded by Ms. Martin. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Oh, yes,
Aye.
I've got to remember that too. Okay. She's here today. Approval of the minutes of May 9th. Can we take, no, we can't take these. Move,
I'll second.
moved by Ms. Waters, seconded by Ms. Rosales Mares. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Abstentions? Abstain. And then approval of the minutes for May 23rd.
Second.
Moved by Mr. Shunk, seconded by Oh, by Ms. Waters. All in favor?
Aye.
And abstentions? I abstain. Thank you. I think I may have misidentified the second. I think it was Ms. Gonzalez-Matos. Ms. Madrigal, I'll get this. This is the hardest part of mine.
Aye.
Recognition of visitors and employee organizations. Do we have any of our employee organizations being represented here? No? I see we have American Canyon here. Mr. Mayor, good to see you. Mr. Councilman? Oh, two, Councilman? Four? Oh. Five.
Whoa.
Okay.
Sure you want to sit closer?
Come on closer so we can see you better.
Okay. Yountville? Oh, there you are, I'm sorry. Thank you. Any other groups?
From the Napa County Office of Education as well.
Oh, welcome. Public comment on non-agenda items. Members of the audience may address the board on any school-related matter that is not on the agenda. The board will not take action on any issue raised during this section of the agenda inasmuch as board action is limited to posted agenda items. Speakers are requested to limit their comments to a maximum of 3 minutes. I have several. I've tried to put these in some kind of order. It's going to be walking a tightrope because some of these items are not necessarily on the agenda, but are related, are distantly related to agenda items. With that, I will start with Ms. Barbara Parr.
Good evening. How are you tonight? I'd like to start by saying thank you for being NVUSD board members. I'm a little biased toward NVUSD and especially biased toward people who are willing to serve, so thank you. My name is Barbara Parr. I'm a former associate superintendent with Napa Valley Unified School District, and I'm here tonight representing myself and David Brown, former NVUSD superintendent, and a number of community members who have approached us because they knew we were somehow related to the district. We'd like to leave you with the idea of naming a major facility in NVUSD and the community after Don Evans as an appropriate way to remember the impact he had on students and the NVUSD as well as the community. Suggestions have included the district office, the auditorium, Memorial Stadium. We're not here to tell you what to do, but we do believe that Don's service to the district and the community fits your policy, which is 7319, as someone who, number one, has made an outstanding contribution to the schools, the school system, and the community. Number two, based on his length of service and a significant contribution to the district as a whole. And we believe that those items qualify him for a naming. We have people ready to conduct the research. We have people ready to serve on the requisite ad hoc committee. We have people ready to interface with Don's family. Believe it or not, we also have people who have come forward if there's any kind of funding that's required to affect any kind of change. And so we're submitting a recommendation to you for that consideration. It's in your bailiwick now. If you want to put together a committee, but we stand ready to help. Thank you for your consideration, and David and I will leave our numbers with the superintendent's office. Thank you.
And I would like to direct staff to
Thank you.
help us honor.
I will follow that directive, and I will be in touch with Dr. David Brown and Barb Parr. Thank you.
Ms. Parr, before you leave, I was remiss. It's hard for me to believe that we no longer have Don Evans, and part of that, you know, I tend to put myself in denial around things that I don't like. And so, before you leave, I would like for everyone to participate in a moment of silence for Don Evans. There's hardly ever a chance where talent meets need.
Right.
And desire, on top of that, the burning desire and love that Don had for the school district lives on in the very building that we're in.
Absolutely.
This was his best.
I can't tell you, I never thought I'd find someone happier to be associated with Napa Valley Unified School District than me when I was elected to this board, until the first time Don Evans delivered the envelope that contained my first board agenda. And he was as happy or happier to deliver that agenda as I was to receive it. For those of you who didn't know Don Evans, it's a loss for you, because the man had truly Napa Valley Unified School District running through his veins. So if you would join me in a moment of silence for one of the most valuable employees that we've ever had.
Thank you, President Hurtado. That was appropriate. He was a great guy, and an honor. It was an honor to serve with him.
It was. Okay. So now the first card I have up is Mark Joseph.
Good evening. I'm Mark Joseph with the American Canyon City Council. It's interesting to be on this side of the dais for once. I'm here to speak on behalf of securing our second middle school in American Canyon. And from what I have heard, I think there are two issues. One is, do we need that school? Or do the student numbers justify that? And then the second one, of course, is, can you afford to operate a second school? As to the enrollment, I think the best way to describe our enrollment is we've been on a plateau for the last few years. But the council has recently approved the Watson Ranch project, the Broadway specific plan, or the corridor plan, and there is a number of homes, existing homes, that are going to be turning over probably with younger families. So I believe in the next 5 to 10 years, you will see the numbers that we have been offering the school district for years. In a nutshell, we are going to produce the build out of some extra 10,000 people. It just got delayed for about a decade due to recessions and some other events, but they will be there. And the biggest concern I would have is that if we don't take advantage of the funding that's available now from the bond, from Measure H, in some 3 to 5 years when it becomes painfully obvious we need that second facility, it will be very difficult to come up with those operating or those capital funds, and we will be struggling with the same challenges we had with Canyon Oaks a few years earlier. So I do believe we need that building. The question then is, how do you operate it? Well, first I would have to suggest, as a former finance director, the best way to answer that is with as much information as you can. We need to know what are your operating costs per campus, per pupil, and how does that compare with different parts of the district? Are there more efficient ways of operating? Have you drilled down into all the various components of your operations and so forth? That is certainly the first step, because it's not going to be easy to come up with the operating costs, but they're essential. The second point I would like to offer is we really can collaborate. Napa Valley College, for example, should be an ideal partner. The city should be an ideal partner with the school district. The Napa Employment Center, or whatever their name might be now that they're a consolidated operation, is also an asset, is also a partner that can work together. We need to get to the point where collaboration is the way to come up with successful ways of operating. And I would encourage the district to do that, and I would encourage those other jurisdictions to cooperate as well. To wrap up, when I first got to Napa we were in the middle of building the first middle school. And it was Dr. Brown that worked so well and collaborated, and we achieved something through a partnership. And it would be nice to build that partnership anew with the second middle school. Thank you.
Mr. Bill Ross.
Good evening, Mr. President, board members, superintendent. My name is Bill Ross. I'm the city attorney. I'd just like to confirm that the agenda that's before your board tonight is the yellow one that's on the back table, the same one that's published, that reflects under D6 that there were no matters considered under anticipated litigation. Thank you.
We wouldn't put out an agenda for public review if it wasn't the one that we were using for this meeting. I think that would violate several tenets of the Brown Act. So you can be assured, just as your agendas are accurate on the night that they are presented, that ours are equally accurate. Jason Kishinev? I'm sorry about the last name. That's all right, you did a good job. Well, thank you. First try.
Good evening, I'm Jason Kishinev. I'm a candidate for Congress and I live in American Canyon. Look, in American Canyon, we were promised a middle school. Many people voted for Measure H based on that promise. The money to construct the school has already been budgeted, and I can tell you with absolute certainty that a great number of folks felt like the district was stealing our money when the superintendent came to town a couple of months ago and told us that she wanted to use the money for another gym and for advertising on buses. She showed us graphs with 2 years of declining enrollment, and those graphs predicted lower numbers every year following, but there was no basis for this prediction. That's telling the future. It's fiction, a manipulation. I'm sure numbers go up and down. I also happen to be sure that our city, Napa County's second largest city, will be growing by about 33% over the next 8 to 10 years. And who exactly do you think is going to vote for another bond measure in 10 years after you take this money and misuse our Measure H funds? We have 1,100 kids at a middle school that was built for 700 kids. Yes, there have been some expansions, but our school is overcrowded. I have one child in middle school and another child who just graduated and is going to high school this year. My children have told me countless times of troubles in the classrooms that overburdened teachers can't pay attention to. And I have been appalled by how many fights and violent incidents I've heard about because there simply are not enough adults to supervise that many children. It's unacceptable that children should be forced to attend a school in such a violent environment because the school district can make money if the money is spent elsewhere. Someone who can make that decision is someone who should not be able to make that decision. Thank you.
Mr. Jason Hawley.
Thank you, President, Board, and Superintendent. As you no doubt recall, in the waning days of the June 2016 election, the district's Measure H appeared to be destined to fail. In fact, on Election Day, it did not pass most precincts district-wide. The notable exception, of course, was in American Canyon, and it was here that district officials, including members of the board, embarked on a coordinated campaign to drive home the votes in American Canyon. With an explicit promise, Measure H will be used to relieve the overcrowding by building a second middle school in American Canyon. And based on this promise, a late surge in voters took to the polls, voted in favor of Measure H by an unprecedented margin, 75% or more. And as those late votes were counted, the election day result was overcome. Measure H eventually certified to pass by only 347 votes, which is remarkable, with nearly 17,000 cast. To date, the district spent more than $6 million acquiring property, designing the school, conducting environmental review, obtaining regulatory permits, and implementing off-site mitigation measures. In addition, district staff has devoted hundreds of hours to making this new school a reality. The district also has binding legal commitments from private developers to reimburse several $1 million of cost for the new middle school. On January 24th, this board approved a leaseback agreement with Lathrop Construction to build the American Canyon Middle School number 2. Since then, Lathrop has been undertaking pre-construction services, site work, services evaluation, constructability review, design, coordination, cost estimating, and construction planning. The district is working with Lathrop now to complete these tasks in order to finish the school before the 2021 school year. Notwithstanding the board's direction, it's appearing now that activity on the new middle school has stopped. Although the current implementation plan lists American Canyon Middle School as a Measure H project, the district website no longer shows any progress on it. We understand the board is scheduled to revise the implementation plan at its August 22nd meeting. Given the role that the American Canyon voters played in passing Measure H, we request that this board hold its August 22nd meeting in American Canyon. The district's existing and planned school facilities are an integral part of American Canyon. For the safety and well-being of the district's American Canyon students, the City of American Canyon strongly opposes any delay to the second middle school. The staff will continue to work with district personnel and the board to understand all the information that is necessary and applicable to preserve existing and planned school funding for schools in American Canyon. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Garcia. Oh, and Mr. Hawley, I will call you back up when we discuss the 7-Eleven committee.
Good evening, Mr. President, Board of Trustees, Dr. Massetti, Superintendent. I have known many of you who are trustees for many years working together on other roles for the betterment of our community. President Hurtado, we served on the Community Action Napa Valley Board for many years. That's the shelter and the food bank. Trustee Gonzalo Mares, we served with COAD, Community Organized to Assist with Disaster, the Public Outreach Information Subcommittee, and many other trustees in similar capacities. I say this because I'm requesting this evening that we first acknowledge and appreciate the spirit of mutual respect and collaboration in our community work. And what I'm asking is that we bring that to a very robust, productive discussion to address the future needs we have for the children and families in American Canyon. By the way, I sent a letter to Board President Jose Hurtado expressing our concerns regarding the board's decision related to the new American Canyon Middle School. I have not received a reply. I apologize if I have missed it somehow. But I request that a response to that letter, please. American Canyon population continues to grow. The fiscal analysis, and we received this after Dr. Massetti's presentation at the high school, for Watson Ranch shows continued growth. Together with the Broadway-specific plan, there are over 2,200 dwelling units expected for American Canyon. As Councilmember Joseph pointed out, it is a sizable increase in population. We know families will come. That's clearly obvious. We need a new middle school. I suggest that we engage the services of a third-party demographer and let us use that data as a basis for our discussion in terms of population growth. I'm taught in a conflict between what our fiscal analysis of Watson Ranch and what the demographer for the Unified School District has, and I can't come to a reasonable decision on that for myself. Maybe more information would be helpful. American Canyon is the youngest city in Napa County, the jurisdiction, young families with children. Families move to American Canyon because there are high-quality schools. We respect the school closer to strongly urge that all schools should be examined for efficiency and physical status. Efficiency. This would bring a fair thing to all families in the school district. I consider consolidating closed schools based on cost of operations and maximum enrollment. The campaign promised to American Canyon that we would get a new middle school. The ballot language is a bit vague, but the campaign promise was American Canyon will get a new middle school. Measure H, as pointed out by Mr. Hawley, passed because of the voters in American Canyon. To better engage the families of American Canyon, please reschedule the August 22nd meeting to American Canyon. Thank you.
Ms. Megan Dameron.
Thank you. My name is Megan Dameron, and I'm a resident of American Canyon with 3 boys, one currently at Donaldson Way, and 2 more who will be there in a year. And I'm here also to discuss the potential for the second middle school. And I have attended the various meetings held by Dr. Mercetti. And what has been most concerning to me is that when looking at the potential for growth, is that only conservative growth models have been considered and decisions made based upon that. When asked about moderate growth, that was looked at, but decisions were not made, and high growth models were not even looked at. As has been discussed, we have the Watson Ranch project coming, the Broadway specific plan, and American Canyon is a magnet for families. That's what drew my family. And in my neighborhood alone, in the past month, we've had 2 more families move in, each with 3 kids. And we know, being a more affordable city in the Bay Area, this is going to continue to be the trend. We are going to really need that middle school. And as we get 5-10 years down the road, if this is not approved, we will have lost so much confidence in our community that there's no way we'll have another bond measure pass. We won't get the funds, and we're going to be bursting at the seams. It's something, when thinking about my kids' future there and the future of American Canyon, this is our chance. And I really, really hope we make the right decision. Please, I hope this decision has not been already made. That is what it has sounded like at some of these meetings. So I hope that this is really being considered and debated, because we really, really need a second middle school. Thank you.
Lydia Mondavi.
Hi, I'm Lydia Mondavi. I am a business owner here in Napa Valley and also a mother of a child at Yountville Elementary School. I'm here tonight to talk about the close of the small schools. My husband, Robert Mondavi, sat on the committee a few years back discussing the closing of Yountville, so I am very familiar with the challenges that you experience in the district from a budget standpoint and understand that it is a small school with small enrollment. What I ask tonight that we look at is specifically, where do these kids go after Yountville closes, or Mount George, or Alta? Where do they go? Look at overcrowding of those schools. Parents that are in Vichy, that are already hearing that more kids might be coming to Vichy from these closed schools, are looking outside of district. They're looking to private schools. When we talked about closing Yountville a few years back, 20% left the kinder class for first grade to private schools. We lost them out of the district. 5% went north district. So we lost them from Napa Valley School District. I encourage us to look at our budgets and look at long-term, how does this affect us in middle school? How does this affect us in high school? Are we going to be losing these families? My second child is 3. Are we going to be losing him out of the district because I'm going to have to look to private school? I'm not willing to place my 2 boys in schools where teachers are asked to sign waivers to have more children in their classrooms where they are stressed, where they're feeling compromised, and where they feel that they cannot focus the attention on the children, where the children feel that they are not focused on, and where the education is not priority. As a business owner, I understand finance. I understand budget is budget. When there's low enrollment, we understand that. We have 22 kindergarten enrollees right now in Yountville. News has already broken out. Parents are already panicking. Where do they go? Can we stay? Should we enroll our kinder student and keep them there when we're going to have to move them next year? The transition is hard for children. How do I tell my third grader that all of his friends are going and being shifted and put into other classrooms and in other schools? How do I tell him that now that we're not even going to stay in the district and then we might have to go to a different private school or go up to St. Helena because my husband's commute is all the way in St. Helena? I ask that we ask the parents, hold a survey, hold a poll. What do we as parents do when these schools close? Are we going private? Are we going out of district? If we lose 20 to 25% out of every class, out of every school that we close, whether it's 2, 1, 3, or 4, what does that do and how does that impact financially, long-term, to your budgets in the future? Thank you.
Mr. Jason Hutchings.
Greetings to the board, superintendent, and staff. My name is Jason Hutchings. I'm a 15-year resident of Yountville. I have a son who's just now going into the first grade, and I just want to mention he had an amazing kindergarten, and I want to say his kindergarten teacher, Rachel Peterson, probably the best kindergarten teacher this side of Cape Cod. The principal there, Tara Bianchi, she is very accessible. I'm so happy to have her as a principal, and I believe she's a part-time principal. She wears multiple hats for the district, I believe, so I just wanted to mention that. Also, too, Sonia Lima, the secretary there, she's really a true asset to the Yountville community. So I want to address the issue of Yountville closing and also the other schools, the potential closure of those schools. It would be devastating for my family to lose that connection with his friends and those particular staff members. Also to ask the kids that live in Yountville to have to travel close to 10 miles down a highway to go to school when really elementary school students should be able to walk and ride their bike to school, to me would be really devastating to those kids and the families. I also am the president of Yountville Little League, and I have to say that due to Little League regulations, if the school were to close, there would be a huge void in player participation, and it would in effect close that league, which has a close to 50-year tradition of serving the youth in Yountville and the surrounding community, and is also the only privately funded youth organization in that town. As I said, I'm a 15-year resident of Yountville. I'm a taxpayer. I'm also a voter. I voted for some of you on the board, and I just hope that you don't prove me wrong in your decision-making, because I, and along with most of the community, we're keeping an eye on you guys. So no, I mean that with all due respect. You know, to me, I grew up in the Oakland, Berkeley area. I went to Richmond schools, and those were bad schools. And the area that I grew up in, well, Dr. McKetty, with all due respect, last meeting you mentioned that you compared this district to Oakland and San Francisco and Sacramento. And to me, again, with all due respect, I thought that was a little inaccurate and inappropriate simply because this is one of the most opulent communities in the country. And those communities have stresses at a magnitude far greater than anything that we see up here. So I just wanted to mention, to me as a resident of the county, that I am completely shocked that we're even considering closing schools up here. In closing, I just want to say that, you know, obviously there's some financial ailments to the school district right now. Whoever's fault that is, it may not be any of your guys' fault. Maybe it was the predecessors. Something happened, there was a lack of foresight, and so with these financial ailments, I'm hoping that the 7-Eleven committee can seriously consider looking at holistic medication rather than simply prescribing amputation of schools, you know, because that would seriously affect and jar the psyche of these kids. And to me, that's kind of nightmarish. So again, I appreciate you listening to me, and I want to congratulate the members of the 7-Eleven committee for their, getting on the board. I applied. I knew I was a long shot. But I just ask that they seriously consider problem solving. I'm closing.
In fairness to everyone else,
I understand. I just want to close up with one more statement that I appreciate, and you guys is listening to me, that I just hope they consider not closing the schools, and I hope that in your hearing their recommendations that you guys make the right decision, okay? And be educators, not dismantlers, please. Thank you.
Mr. David Oro. And I always forget the second O in your name, I'm sorry.
Spanish for gold.
No, that's why I shouldn't be doing that.
Mr. President, the board, Superintendent, thank you. I'm here in support of encouraging you and urging you to build the American Canyon Middle School. We had a speaker come up here a little bit earlier talking about losing students to private schools. I want to say that I'm a victim of that, actually, because my daughter went to Canyon Oaks Elementary for kindergarten. It was the time of the recession, but it was also at a time when the district misjudged how many people were going to move into American Canyon, and Canyon Oaks was overcrowded. She had 30, maybe 33 kindergartners in her class at that time, and it was brutal. And her experience wasn't that good, and we made the hard and expensive decision to send her to a private school. I had 2 kids after that, and all of them remained in private school because of that. But even with that, I fought and campaigned very hard for Measure H. I sat there with board member Shunk at American Canyon's Farmers Market for many Saturdays in a row telling people to vote for Measure H. I knocked on doors. I made phone calls with Dr. Muschetti's predecessor, Patrick Sweeney. I met the great Don Evans through that whole process. And it is something that I am paying for, even though I'm not directly benefiting it today. But the reason why I voted for it was because I know good schools and communities make a difference. The presentation that was given to the community in the past, I think, has severely misjudged the number of people and the growth that American Canyon is going to have. I don't want you to miss that opportunity again by taking funds that are earmarked for building and addressing overcrowding in the southern portion of the school district, as stated in the bonds. So I urge you to support to build that school. We've had many conversations. We were given a choice, programs or schools. And as we sat here since those presentations, we've come to learn that it's a lot easier to fund programs later than it is to find construction money for schools. My worry is that you will lose some more students if you continue the overcrowding to alternative options for education. So I urge you to continue to build that school. In respect to Mr. Don Evans, we can name that school after him, even if we needed to do that. And finally, if you're going to make a decision on the school, I encourage you to hold your next board meeting in American Canyon High School or down there in that area so you can address the community directly. Thank you.
Cindy Biederman.
Good evening. My name is Cindy Biederman. I am a trustee on the County Office of Education Board representing American Canyon, but I'm here tonight as a grandma representing my 3 granddaughters who go to Napa Junction. Let me correct that. They used to go to Napa Junction Elementary School. I was a little taken back. I know I'm a very active grandparent in the schools. I have 3 granddaughters going to the same school, so of course I have to volunteer in all 3 of their classes, right? So I'm busy. Mr. Pearson come down several times and we're getting the new school. We got the date picked out. I knew it took a while to obtain the property. Came down, showed us beautiful pictures of what it's going to look like, came down and had meetings to get the parents' input, get the school teachers' input. It's all been wonderful, and it's supposed to be coming up in, not this year, but the next school year. Well, I tell you what, the communication, it seems like the school district is also going the same way. Social media is also going the same way as Napa Junction once they gated the community. It's all gone parent square. I was kind of disappointed that I received the information that the school was going to now be 2 years delayed getting built for the Napa Junction. I thought it was kind of cowardly that it was put out on Parent Square when we've had all these meetings beforehand talking one-on-one. I was joking on the way up here, it's kind of like being text that you got broken up with. You have this relationship and then all of a sudden, hey, you're not there, we're not doing it. But the frustration part, and this is where I get the personal part being the grandma is, it's on a fault. We just had a 7.1 down south. We just had 4 point something at Berkeley. Oh, we're going to hold it for another year, 2 years now. We're going to roll the dice. We don't know when it's coming, if it's coming. God forbid it ever does. Okay, because we don't want to rush it. But I think I was more upset is the board wants transparency, and I get that. The school wants transparency, but I get a text that says it's going to happen. I didn't get. We're parents, we're grandparents. That's what you hear, some of the passion that's coming up, because this affects our life. The grandchildren no longer go to Napa Junction because I am scared for them. I don't want to walk away. Parents don't want to walk away, leave their kids at a school that's unsafe. And I don't know how y'all can sit there and sleep at night, because I hope to God it never happens, that these kids, they're on a very volatile place. Some other ones on the American Canyon Middle School, of course. Ms. Maceda, you did a great job, and I really appreciate you coming down to our community and do the presentation. I'm a facts person, been in the criminal system for over 20 years. I get the 2.2 million, but I don't know where 2.2 million comes from, that you said it's going to take the run to school. I don't know if part of that overlaps in part of what we're already using at our middle school that's already overcrowded. The other thing is on the 7-Eleven is touch on the Yountville. When the 7-Eleven's formed, when you guys do the studies, are you also going to put out to all the parents, where are the kids going to go if you close this school, if you don't do another middle school because it's crowded at the middle school? My granddaughter's headed that way in a few more years. Are we going to send our kids to private school? It's going to hurt your budget. Collaboration is what you heard from a lot of the...
Again, Ms. Biederman.
I'm almost done, sir.
Okay.
The collaboration that you're hearing, we all know, school board, running the city, running the county board, money doesn't go around like it should. It does. We're always trying to figure out how to make ends meet. Collaboration, take advantage of it. We're going to have to do it. We're not getting anywhere. The other question I do have is, this is all great. We're here now, so we got to run around and cut this off, cut that off. I want to know how we got here. That's what I want to know, so it doesn't happen again. Thank you.
Just one point of clarification so that Ms. Biederman doesn't leave thinking that the delay in the construction was part of a cowardly act. Aren't the plans held up?
Yeah, Mrs. Biederman, I'll tell you, the issue has to do with the plans being stamped out of DSA, and that's what we spelled out in the email that we sent out to all the parents. And at the 2 community meetings we held down in Napa Junction, we had a grand total of 1 parent show up, the same parent for both one. Well, you're a grandparent, but a parent of the school showed up. So we still plan to go back down there and talk more about it, but we can't build a school without plans from DSA. So it's not my decision whether we build it or not, but I do have to be able to respond to the community and let them know what's happening.
Okay, thank you.
But what I'm
No,
saying is that-
we're not,
I'm still going to clarify.
This is not a discussion, excuse me. Thank you. Valerie Wolf, I'm not sure what your item is. Is it on the agenda?
Well, no, it's not on the agenda.
Okay.
Okay. Okay. So, hi, my name's Valerie Wolf, 389 Franklin Street, and I represent the Napa Neighborhood Association for Safe Technology. And I'm a member of the Progressive Alliance. I spoke here recently about the perils of the wireless technology and the electromagnetic radiating cell antenna proposed for dozens of sites here in our city and near our schools, and in residential neighborhoods. I'm happy to announce that our city will be having a visit from an internationally recognized speaker on wireless radiation. On Sunday, August 18th at 2 p.m., a free event at the Napa Valley Unitarian Church at 1625 Salvador Avenue. And I have flyers for all of the members. It's about wireless radiation, keeping safer in a wireless world. And things we all should know are cell phones, cell towers, Wi-Fi, and smart meters harmful? What is 5G and should we be concerned about it? Why are our children more vulnerable? What can we do to reduce our exposure and protect our families? So the woman that's going to be speaking is Daphne Tackover, and she's a leading expert and advocate on wireless technology. She's an attorney in New York City and Israel. She has a technology background from her service in the Israeli Defense Forces as a telecommunication and computers officer organization for the protection of the rights of people who have been injured by wireless technology radiation. She led a Supreme Court case in Israel to ban the use of Wi-Fi in schools, which led to the strictest limitations in the world on Wi-Fi in schools. So I'm hoping that all of you, along with all of your friends and anyone that's interested in keeping our children safe, will take an opportunity to go hear Daphne Tackover speak on this subject. You'll come away with a lot of information that will help you stay informed and be the best representative for our children and our community. Thank you.
Thank you. Miriam Abudamus? Abudamus. Go ahead.
Wow, Mark's right. It is weird being on the other side. Good evening, Mr. President, members of the board, Superintendent Musetti. My name is Miriam Abudamis. I'm the Vice Mayor of American Canyon. I moved to Napa County in 1987 when I was 1 year old and moved to American Canyon just a year after that, where I've been ever since. I'm also the first person to ever graduate from American Canyon Middle School. So they moved us there after Christmas break, the sixth graders from Napa Junction and Donaldson Way. We went to Christmas break and then we came back to ACMS. We went from elementary school to middle school, just like that. The second year, it was sixth graders and seventh graders. We were the seventh graders, and I remember literally watching them build the gym while I was sitting in my math class. It was the coolest thing ever, getting to be a part of that. Now when I go back, I unfortunately do not recognize the middle school. It's obviously crowded. I understand that the portables that are there have made it so that we can fit another 36 students in there, but that doesn't make it ideal. American Canyon is the second largest city in the county. Our demographics, our residents, are predominantly young families. They come to American Canyon because of our state-of-the-art schools. Before making any decisions regarding American Canyon and the American Canyon schools, I urge you to come to American Canyon, meet our residents. They are very involved in our community. They would love to take part in this. They would love for their voices to be heard. Unfortunately, our residents are mostly commuters. They have to travel for work, come home late, can't come here, need childcare. Like I said, they're mostly young families, so it's very difficult to be able to come to meetings in Napa in the evening. With that being said, I believe it would be an injustice to our residents and to the school district not to host the August 22nd meeting in American Canyon. So along with my colleagues, I strongly urge that you make that consideration. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? They're all about the 7-Eleven. I have. No, we've been, I've been, I've been taking 7-Eleven, ones that are specifically 7-Eleven, and then take it here. Mr. Ken Leary.
Good evening, President and school board members. My name is Kenneth Leary. I'm City Council in American Canyon, and I agree with almost everyone basically everyone who came up and spoke this evening. I'm going to talk about it from a little different standpoint. I'm really concerned about the sustainability of Napa Unified School District. If your models are correct, as you say that you're declining enrollment, I don't see how that's going to be sustainable for the school district. 2 years ago, you considered taking away the seventh period in American Canyon. Now, 2 years later, we're looking at budget cuts. I understand it's a difficult job. You have to balance your budget. However, education is the most important thing that we can do in our society for our children and for making a better society. The sustainability of Napa Unified School District depends on Napa County. Everything's connected here. John Muir says when we try to pick out anything by itself, we find it hits to everything else in the universe. And the model for this county where people with money, without kids, can buy homes and live here, and the workers have to commute in from so far away, they can't bring their kids here. This county makes enough money to fund its public schools. We need great public schools. Smaller schools are better performing schools than larger schools. So closing Yountville, not building a second middle school in American Canyon, and the kids have to go across the highway, across all this traffic coming up because people can't afford to live in Napa County. This model is not sustainable for our institutions. Our NVTA bus company is losing ridership every year also. We've got to look at other ways and bring in other funds to be able to sustain our public schools and our public institutions. If not, we're not going to survive as a county with a variety and diversity of people that make any city, any country great. So I implore you not to close any of these schools, but we have to put pressure on the state, on this county, to fund our schools. Thank you.
Jose?
Yes, sir.
Can I make an offer to Mr. Leary?
Yes.
I'll send you some literature from the California School Boards Association on their full and fair funding initiative, which speaks to some of the concerns you just expressed.
Yes. All right, well, thank you, Mr. Shaw.
The rest of the speaker cards are related to the 7-Eleven committee, the explanation and the selection. I'll hold these until we get to the approval of the members of the 7-Eleven committee. So you haven't been forgotten. I've been giving a similar speech. It seems like consecutive board meetings. There is nothing harder for a school board than considering closing schools or not building schools that were in our plans before. The thought that any one of the members of the board or the central administration is doing less than their best to get viable and true information is just a wrong idea. The fact that some of the speakers may question the commitment or integrity of some of our members, again, does not sit well with me. Each and every one of these people on the school board has chosen to volunteer their time to represent the citizens of this district that ranges from Yountville to American Canyon. They have traded the ability to make comments without being held responsible for them, for being held accountable for just about every comment they make. And they deserve respect for that. We hold our central administration to a high standard. I don't know that I've met another district administrator who holds herself or other members of the central administration to a higher standard than Dr. Musetti. We will find a solution to this problem, and we'll do it publicly. And I hate the word transparency because it doesn't mean anything anymore. But we will do it in plain sight with information. We want everyone, the partnerships that we've had over the years, and I've been on the board for 15, this will be starting my 15th, 16th year. The partnerships that we've had with our local communities have allowed us to make decisions that have moved the district forward. Those partnerships are a valuable part of the NVUSD family. We hope that we continue those and that we get along, why can't we just get along? But I fully expect our officials, starting with Dr. Musetti, to continue using the protocols for communicating with our public and our partners that have been established and used for years, and successfully so. We will follow our rules. We will include the community in just about every aspect of this. We will make a decision, and we will move on. So thank you very much. Thank you all for being here. Thank you. No public comment. Reports. Oh, Board of Education and Student Representative. It's my pleasure to introduce Alondra Madrigal, who will serve this year as a student representative for the board of for the school board, NVUSD school board. And I think I would like to have Ms. Waters give us a few words on the selection process and how we came to our decision.
Well, Board Member Jankowicz and I had the pleasure of interviewing students from different schools, and it was really a great way to spend an afternoon. We met 4 wonderfully qualified students, and they all really had a lot going for them, and we have our eye on one who's a little bit younger and has 2 more years to go in school, and so we encouraged her to reapply. But Alondra really stood out. She had spoken to our board once before, and you spoke at the city council too, right? And you were talking about how when you said that you were looking at different career options and and you had an aunt who told you to become a teacher, and I don't know, I guess that kind of tipped it over in her favor a little bit, and we thought it'll be fun to work with this young lady. And I don't believe your school's ever had a representative to the board that I can recall. No, I don't think so. I don't think Valley Oak has had.
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't think
I can't confirm that for the
Yeah.
Actually, it's a true statement. I talked to Maria Cisneros, so she's very proud of Alondra being on the board.
Yes, so welcome, and if you need a ride, give me a buzz.
Hello, good evening. My name is Alondra Madrigal, and I'm a student at Valley Oak High School. I am going to be a senior this year, And my principal, Maria Cisneros, really pushed me to take this opportunity, and honestly, I don't regret it one bit. It's my first meeting here, and I'm already like very interested, and like I'm excited for the rest, and I'm just excited to be here as a student and see the student point of view, and I'm excited to work with everybody here for the rest of the year, and yeah.
We're excited to have you.
Welcome, Alondra.
Welcome aboard.
Thank you. Thank you.
Comments from board members?
Since it's been a while since we met and since I was in town, I'll simply report that on Friday, the June 28th, I attended the credit recovery graduation, which had representation from 5 of our high schools, and the families were just as happy for their students' milestone as the more heavily attended graduations that occurred the first week of June.
I attended that too, and it was it was fun. One of the students had just gotten his first job and was anxious to run off to work, and his parents were very proud of him. I also, along with you, attended Don Evans' memorial service, and I brought along a couple of the programs for those of you who didn't attend. It was a real who's who of NVUSD history, and it was fun to see Lou Martin, my son's first principal at Shearer School, and it's always a pleasure to see Dr. David Brown.
I informed the board today that I will be sending an email of condolences to the president of the El Paso, Texas Unified School District, and recognizing the fact that when, for example, when we had our disaster, our fires, that it was not only family, but the district, the teachers who helped, and teachers and everyone else all the way down the line who helped normalize life for our students. And I'm going to let him know that we're thinking about him, and that if there's any help that I can provide, I will be happy to do that. On a more personal note, I was born right across the border from El Paso, Texas, in Ciudad Juarez, Chihuahua. The store that was shot up is in the neighborhood where my family lives, close family. And this one hit close to home. I know that I've had several conversations with Mr. Mike Pearson and about campus safety, and I will encourage him to go even deeper into looking at how we can keep our campuses safe. I will contact the president of our teachers union to tell them how important they are, remind them of how important they were in helping our students recover from the tragedy that we suffered several years in a row. So everyone keep El Paso in your, not thoughts and prayers. Remember them, help them stay strong. Thank you.
Next, Executive Cabinet. Good evening, everyone. I'm very excited to be here tonight. It's the start of the school year for us, and so that's always probably the most exciting time, I think, for leadership, for our classroom teachers who are getting back in their classrooms this week and working diligently so that we're prepared for that important date of August 14th, where we welcome all of our students back for a school year. Every school year is absolutely a gift in every child's life. And so we have been working really hard to open the doors of school to receive them in their school community. I cannot express how challenging it is as a year 2 superintendent to, at the same time that I have that enthusiasm and excitement around starting school for the 2019-2020 school year, to have to be addressing some of the most difficult topics that could be in front of a superintendent and a school board to address. But I am going to have to make a couple of comments, not in response to any public comment. I want to thank everybody for their engagement coming here tonight. I appreciate advocacy for schools and school communities, and I will never take that advocacy for granted, because I know having a community that is engaged around their schools is an absolute necessity. It's the engine to the work that we do, and we know schools do better when there's community engaged. And so all of this feedback around what is the next decision that the school board may have to make in response to a very challenging financial situation. We receive all that feedback, we welcome that feedback, and we continue to encourage that feedback, and it does not go unheard. However, I just do have to make some statements. We developed a strategic plan last fall, and that strategic plan was based on both qualitative and quantitative data around the direction that the school district needed to take. When I walked into this school district, the district was facing, like many other California school districts that are in a state that is 46th in per pupil spending, plagued with the issue of declining enrollment. People have made some claims that our enrollment is plateauing. Our enrollment is not plateauing. Our enrollment is declining. And I ask anybody who has reports of any other sort to go ahead and bring them forward. But I know that me and my team have done our due diligence. We have certified California Department of Education data. You can go look at it yourself up on the CDE website. There's nothing to hide. And that certified data demonstrates that the Napa Valley Unified School District has been declining for 5 years. That's not refutable data. The data is what the data is. And so in that strategic plan, that being a major point, as the new superintendent having to lead the school district to ensure that we can deliver on the educational promise for kids by making sure that we maintain fiscal solvency, we have a goal in our strategic plan. It's goal 4, and that goal is named tactical, proactive, and efficient asset management. And one of the key initiatives in there is stabilizing the enrollment, right-sizing the district in response to this decline. I'm going to put it really simply. I'm a superintendent of schools with a finance, chief financial officer, chief business official certification, so I understand California school finance. And I'm going to let you know that the main lever of revenue for a school district is enrollment. So to put it simply for just the regular person out there, if you think about your personal finances and you all of a sudden come to learn that your income has been slashed by 25 or 30%, and you continue to spend at the rates that you're spending and your outputs continue to stay the same, despite the fact that you are very clear that your revenue's declining and you continue a status quo reality of expenses, that would be irresponsible. And I value all of the ideas here. I've worked all over the country. I was at the small schools movement at the inception of my career, at a school district that was at the helm of that movement. Unfortunately, that school district finds itself having to close over 20 schools several years later because they cannot financially sustain it. And most California school districts are struggling with this ideal model of small schools. It's really tough. There's benefits and there's benefits to it, but there's also downsides to all kind of program models. You could say in larger schools you have economy of scales and you're able to curate services and you're able to gather more services for students and make it more equitable and accessible. And on that note, I think it's important to note that we don't have equitable access to small schools across the district. So what we are saying is that some students can have a small school and others can't. So, you know, that kind of surfaces some questions as well. But my comment is that if we know that our revenue is declining, we have declining enrollment. I'm your first superintendent in several decades to have to deal with declining enrollment. It's hard to pivot. It's really, really difficult to pivot. Because many of the decisions of the past were framed in the context and the mindset of a growth district. A lot of that growth was in American Canyon. And now all of a sudden, as a superintendent of schools, I find myself being the one in the seat, along with the 7 people to my left, where we're facing dramatic declining enrollment. And the decision-making at the time of growth and increasing enrollment looks different than in the times that you have declining enrollment, because it's a dramatic impact on your revenue. That forces very difficult decisions many people don't want to have to make. But it would be irresponsible for us, the 7 people to my left and myself, to bury our heads in the sand and ignore the data and not make decisions based on the data. Because we know other California public school districts who chose that direction and find themselves now in a takeover. Our County Office of Education is our fiscal oversight, and they this year made some recommendations. They know that we have to reduce operational costs because of the reduction in our revenue, and there's certain ways that you get there. And with the decline being as steep as it is, unfortunately, part of that is looking at school consolidation, potential closure, and no longer being in a stance where we continue to produce more small schools. I also want to remind the room that at the same time that we have declining enrollment, we're 46th in per pupil spending. We've also assumed the huge liability in California, this is true for all of me and my counterparts, of the employee pension system. All of this coming and converging together requires action. And I'm all about collaboration, and I look forward. I appreciate the plea for collaboration. You'll be hearing from me around some next steps in collaborative efforts as we fulfill our commitment around verifying data, analyzing data. And so, you know, the door's not shut there. Our process was slowed down because some protocols changed for us as we tried to engage with some of our partner agencies. And so we're a little behind in the point of work that we want to be in because of that. But we'll get there, and as soon as we're ready to have those conversations, we'll invite that collaboration, and we're going to present data, and we invite others to present their data that defies any data that we present, because there's nothing to hide here, and we want to come together around data and make meaningful decisions, but it's got to be decisions that are going to make sure that this district does not go fiscally insolvent. Remind the room, we had a structural deficit for 5 years, and the County Office of Education needs to be ringing the fire bell around that. Because when you have a 5-year structural deficit, your district is at risk of fiscal insolvency. So I am making sure that my school board has all the information that they need, because their ultimate responsibility is to make sure we stay fiscally solvent. They will not be able to execute on all the other amazing goals and key initiatives in the strategic plan that are about delivering high quality education to students if we are completely destabilized because we did not make fiscally responsible decisions. And so I will give them that information, and I have confidence in the people to my left, an extreme amount of confidence because they're student-centered, that they'll make those right decisions to make sure that our district stays stabilized. In our district, I think sustainability was named. We do have to make choices that are about sustainability. And so I look forward to people's understanding, patience, engagement with all of you through a very, very difficult process. My timing, my predecessors had different timing. They were really blessed to sit in the seat while the district was growing, and you got to build schools and grow schools and maintain small schools. That's not our current circumstance. And I wish it was different. I think we all wish it was different. But it is what it is, and we're going to do our best job possible to shepherd this organization through a very, very challenging period, knowing that by staying the course around that appropriate shepherding, that we will get to the other side of this, and we will make sure that we don't find ourselves in the situation that some of our other Northern California school districts are currently finding themselves. So I ask your support for that. And I look forward to reaching out to some of our partner agencies to make that very visible and clear. And I look forward to collaborative discussions in order to build shared understanding around that. So I appreciate your support, your patience, as we do some hard work on your behalf. Thank you. That concludes my superintendent report. It's not the one you want to do at the first board meeting, but I'm going to leave it to my assistant superintendents who are going to share with you many of the celebrations of the work that we're doing to launch the 2019-2020 school year.
Thank you. Good evening, members of the board and community. I wanted to share some celebrations. although in the summer months we are kind of quiet in the district, we are certainly not dormant. We do a lot of training for our teachers and our administrators, and we do a lot of work with our students. So I want to just share a little about that. Over the course of the summer, we had 356 teachers participating in various types of training, from rigorous PBL and visible learning to learning how to work with migrant education students, to general ed teachers learning how to adapt their instruction to meet the needs of students with special needs, and special education teachers having opportunities for training to better meet the needs of their students. And we did a lot of arts integration work. 102 teachers participated in various types of training around integrating the arts into their instruction. And we finished out our management conference. 85 classified and certificated managers participated in 2 days of training, collaboration, and planning together. And for students, we have a real wide range of programming that is great. 141 elementary students participated in summer school. 150 middle school students participated in AIM High, 58 of which are migrant ed eligible. We had 284 high school students participate in Adelante, a migrant education program. 100% of the participating students recovered credit. 93% of the students received a grade of C or better. In addition, we have our traditional high school students who attended the summer cyber high at Valley Oak. 196 5-unit credit or courses, semester-long courses, were recovered across the course of the summer program. And finally, we have something called Summer College Readiness Academy at each of our high schools, and we had a total of 151 students at each of our high schools participating in math preparation courses so they can better be prepared for their math course this fall. So not dormant, not closed, but active. Thank you.
Thank you. Again, my name is Rob Rabinder Mangawala. I'm the new Assistant Superintendent of Business Services. I've just completed my first month working here in Napa Valley, working arm in arm with Melissa Cook, the new Executive Director of Business Services, along with the Business Services team, examining our budget very closely. I've also spent a great deal of time looking at our historic enrollment data located at DataQuest. This is a CDE website, and examining the enrollment trends. I look forward to presenting that in the very near future once my analysis of this data is done. I've also spent a great deal of time visiting school sites as they're getting ready for the beginning of the school year. Thank you.
Well, good evening. I'd like to say there is nothing slow or quiet about HR in the summertime. So we're actually looking forward to school starting and getting a little bit of a break. We've been hard at work recruiting and hiring people all summer long, and we are almost completely staffed up, or we have a plan in place. And right now we're looking at onboarding our new employees. So we just completed a 2-day new certificated employee academy where about a little over 40 of our brand new certificated employees new to our district joined us to learn more about our policies and priorities and to learn more about the culture of our school district. And we did this in conjunction with NVEA and NAPS and talked about our very unique and collaborative relationship that we have with our bargaining units, one thing that makes Napa Valley Unified extremely special to work at. And I just want to say a little shout out to the team that planned that and pulled that off. That was Pat Andre Jennings, our Director of Employee Engagement and Development, and our administrative support, clerical staff, Nora Stragonig and Dee Dee Lockett. And on Monday, we're having an onboarding for our new guest teachers. These are substitutes. You might recognize that term, but we like to call them guest teachers and really treat them well because they're really important to us. So we will also have classified onboarding monthly. That's what we do since we hire them throughout the year. So that's the theme for this month is onboarding.
Good evening, President Hurtado, Board Trustees, and Superintendent Musetti. On July 1st, I began my new role as Assistant Superintendent of Operational Services. Since July 1st, I have held 2 mini retreats with the Directors of Maintenance, Operations, Food Service, and Transportation and Facilities, which I oversee, which have allowed us to learn more about each other, establish norms with communication, and set up our structure of meetings. our future meetings. And our future meetings will be including goal setting, problem solving, and planning for the school year in the operational services world. Speaking of operational services, we are gearing up for the start of the 2019-20 school year and are ready to receive the students and staff when school opens on Wednesday, August 14th. Thank you.
Thank you. Facilities and bond program updates.
So I'm going to introduce Ms. Kelly Jurgensen. She's our bond program manager with Van Pelt Construction Services, and she will be giving an update of our facilities and bond program.
President Hurtado, trustees, Dr. Musetti, welcome back. I feel a little bit like Miss Page. We've been a little crazy this summer. So I'm going to hit some of the high points and all the things that have been going on with Measure H and some of the projects that we've been doing over the summer. So one of the things I want to mention is painting. If you haven't already, take a drive by McPherson and Shear and take a look at their new looks. We're pretty excited at how things turned out with the painting projects there and excited for the students and the parents to see them when they get back. In addition to that, we've been working on our first phase for district-wide fencing, which will be at Donaldson Way, Shear, and McPherson, focusing on limiting points of entry and safety for students and staff. Finishing kitchens, phase 1, before you tonight will be approval for the contract to begin construction for the new finishing kitchens at Shear and McPherson. So lots of action over there. And also we are in the planning phases and have met with administrators and staff at Harvest Middle School to discuss the plans for their new quad. In addition to that, our favorite topic of the week, Irene Snow Elementary School. So with that one, indulge me in a few more seconds because I have to say that it has definitely been a labor of love, and we have had so many staff out there, incredible business partners, as well as facilities, maintenance, operation, business services. It has been all hands on deck, folks working to help support the teachers, and the biggest shout out is to Olivia McCormick and her staff because they are in there working hard, getting their classrooms ready. Contractors are working to finish things up, and there's been a lot going on out there. So it's very, very exciting for next week. In addition to that, we will continue to work on their playfields, which will need more time for the grass to develop. So other than that, we're really excited. Additionally, River School construction is ongoing, and we'll switch from getting ready to get students and staff in at Snow to getting students and staff in at River in January. So that project is also going successfully and under construction. And additionally, Napa Junction Elementary, we are planning ceremonies to kick off the construction there and have been working really closely with our partners, Lathrop Construction, to collect bids, do constructability review, and build our budgets. So we're getting very close there as well. Thank you.
Welcome.
Can I have a question? With regard to snow, are we going to hit the first day of school timeline for completion of the classrooms?
Oh, yes. The classroom teachers have all been invited back this whole week to set up their classrooms. We've also had staff and movers available to them. So books are on shelves, desks are set up, and the teachers have been having fun decorating and doing all that kind of stuff. I don't know if I should say fun. I'm sure it's very nerve-wracking for them, but it's fun for us to see it happen.
Any other questions? Thank you. Anything else, Mr. Pearson? Are we good?
No, that's it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next, we move to consent agenda. Background information on these items is provided the board prior to the meeting. A common motion takes action without discussion on roll call vote unless discussion of item or items is requested by a board member or members.
I have 3 requests, H1C, H4A, H5C.
Okay. H5, once again, please, H5C.
H1C, H4A, and H5C.
Okay. Any others? I'll entertain a motion to approve items, the consent agenda. We've pulled item H1C, H4A, and H5C.
So moved.
Second.
Oh, I'm sorry. Mr. Chung, second.
Aye.
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 Item H1C.
My question regarding this item was specific to how long it was that we had to keep the old documents and videos, and does this contract provide access to the old videos, and can we ever transfer out of Granicus and sort of host the videos ourselves?
Yeah, we have an obligation to keep all the archives of previous board meetings, and in this district, we maintain videos as well. And so we are contracting, have a small contract with Granicus for them to continue to hold our archive. Maybe somewhere down the road, we could look at a potential transfer of all that data onto one of our own servers. My concern is that I want to make sure that everything is easy, accessible to the public. They don't feel like they have to look at something different in order to recall archives of the past. So for now, in the immediate future, my recommendation would be to continue this small contract to make sure that our archived board material is easily accessible to the public.
So perhaps we can then revisit this item in 5 to 10 years and consider moving to our own system.
Sure.
Okay.
With that, I'll move to approve.
Well, should we go through all three items and then we can?
Sure, that's fine too.
Get the group rate on the
Yeah.
motion?
H4A.
I'm good with that. Okay, 4A, Avid. I was just concerned, I had a comment here mostly more than anything else, that I saw we have one less school now participating in the Avid program. McPherson has chosen not to continue with Avid, and I was disappointed to see that, as I really like the Avid program and I would like to see more schools using it rather than less. So that was my only comment there.
Do we know why?
Yes. The principal with the staff at McPherson have had training in Avid for several years now, and the entire staff had been trained in the core foundational concepts of Avid, which are Wicker, writing, inquiry, collaboration, organization, and reading. And due to a lot of factors, including some scores, they wanted to really focus in all of their time on implementing the math curriculum at K-5, which is called Bridges, and deeply into implementing the benchmark English Language Arts curriculum. So they're just taking a pivot and focusing on that for the current year.
Fair enough.
Item H5C.
With regard to item H5C, I had two comments there. One, I'm thrilled to see that this is the final change order. So we're finally at the end of this process, which is very nice. It's been a long time coming, so I wanted to sort of celebrate and point that out. And then secondly, I was just baffled by the fact that we somehow managed to purchase a salad bar that didn't fit elementary school students that we were then going to put into an elementary school. I just didn't quite understand how that happened, which then required a change order. That seems perplexing to me, and I wanted to make sure that we didn't repeat mistakes of this nature when we build our new elementary school in American Canyon.
Trustee Gracia, we shared a similar sentiment. We were a little perplexed ourselves, being that this was a decision made by previous individuals before Kelly and I came on board. We were able to purchase a conversion kit so that the salad bar was still usable. We could still use that salad bar. We just had to convert it for elementary students. And yes, we have taken into consideration many things, including this, on future projects, so we don't have a similar issue come up.
Now I will motion to approve all three items.
Second.
So moved by Mr. Gracia, seconded by Ms. Water.
Aye.
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 Thank you. Move on to school planning and construction. Item I-1A, presentation on the 7-Eleven District Committee member selection process. This is an information item. Sure, please. Oh.
Yeah, you have cards on this, right?
Oh, yes. Well, so I was going to ask, hang on. Are these comments aimed at the process or at approving the membership of the 7-Eleven committee? Second item? All of, and you are? Oh. Yeah, I should have been able to figure that out. So please. So the current topic is the selection process.
Sabrina, is it on? A green button or the button?
Okay, excuse me.
That's better.
Good evening, President Hurtado and members of the board. My name is Sabrina Wolfson, and I'm a Mount George parent. First, I want to applaud the district for appointing the 7-Eleven committee to help make the difficult decision of whether to close one or more of our small schools. I know the district's not required to appoint a committee, and it means a lot to the families affected by this decision that the district's convening the committee instead of moving directly into a decision. I also want to commend Dr. Massetti and her staff for their selection of the committee members. It certainly gives some of us comfort knowing that these outstanding members of our community will be reviewing the data and providing a thoughtful recommendation to the board. At the same time, I'm very concerned about the 7-Eleven process, particularly the timeline. The schedule includes only 4 committee meetings, the first of which is purely organizational. This leaves 3 meetings to review data regarding school enrollment, projected school enrollment, operating budgets, zoning and potential land uses, appraisals of the sites, surplus property procedures, and more. To condense an extremely important decision that will greatly impact our community into 3 meetings seems impractical and irresponsible. I know that this has been done for prior 7-Eleven committees, but from what I understand, those committees were to decide the disposition of surplus property, not school closures. I also understand that the district has budget issues, but this decision should not be rushed, and the process should be given the time it deserves. Once one or more of these schools are closed, they're gone forever, and it's going to cost more to reopen new schools than it will to continue operating these schools. I'm also concerned about the data that will be provided to committee members. I sent a Public Records Act request to the district 7 weeks ago requesting documents that are critical to this decision and process, and they need to be provided to the committee, such as operating budgets and enrollment data, and I've not received a single document, not one. While I know it's summer and that my request was voluminous, I've worked in local government for 12 years and I've never seen a jurisdiction take this long to respond to a Public Records Act request without producing a single document. I understand some of the information may be needed to be reviewed by legal counsel, but budget documents and enrollment data do not. It concerns me that the district does not have this information readily available because without it, the committee cannot make an informed decision and the community cannot fairly participate in the process. Lastly, I'm concerned that the district is not exploring alternatives. Closing schools is supposed to be a last resort. The district should have explored all other possible solutions before even putting school closures on the table. What about a parcel tax? What about a sales tax? What about renting unused space to private entities? What about part-time principals or shared principals for the small schools? And the district hasn't even attempted to put a tax measure on the ballot before proceeding with this process. While these measures should have been drafted before getting to this point, it's not too late. So tonight, I respectfully request the board to direct the 7-Eleven committee to explore alternatives to school closures and to consider those alternatives when making its decision whether to close any of the small schools. Thank you.
think we're ready for you, Mr. Pearson.
Okay, so I have Kelly Jurgensen with my slideshow, and then I have Kelly Rem with Lozano Smith in case there are any legal questions that we want to have mentions in it. So it's the Kelly and Mike show here. So yes, 711 District Advisory Committee, we're going to walk you through what we've accomplished to date. And so continuing on, Kelly, to the next one. This is Goal 4, Tactical, Proactive, and Efficient Asset Management as outlined in our NVUSD strategic plan. The purpose of the 711 committee is, as it reads, is to advise the governing board, which is all of you in front of me, based on the community input regarding the use and disposition of school building space or property that is not needed for school purposes, as outlined in Education Code 17388. The process of how is the 711 Advisory Committee to be selected. District staff reviewed the applications received, and we make a recommendation to the governing board based on the meeting the statutory requirements for the composition of the 711 District Advisory Committee, as well as other factors. The composition of the District 711 Advisory Committee is, as you can read up here, it can consist between 7 and 11 members and represent at least one of the following categories, again, as outlined in the education codes. I won't read all those particular bullets, but I'll give you a minute to go through those bullets. We're good to go? Okay, next slide. We've outlined 4 meeting dates, which are the following: August 20th, September 3rd, September 17th, and October 1st. The time frame we'll start the meetings at 5:30, and we'll be located right here at 2425 Jefferson Street in the boardroom. They are open to the public, and we will follow all the Brown Act requirements that we have to, because this is our public meetings. The board meeting dates that we will then be bringing back information to will be, today is the approval of the committee. Then we'll have a draft to the board to review on October 8th, and we're looking forward for board action on October 14th. And these will all happen at the board meetings here at 2425 Jefferson Street at 7 p.m.
October 24th.
Excuse me, October 24th. And then, so the action item that we'll be asking you to do is for the NVUSD staff recommends the approval of the 711 District Advisory Committee, and this will be later tonight. We'll be asking you to take action on that. And then our final slide shows the members of the 711 committee. We chose to go with 11 members. As I outlined earlier, we could have gone with anywhere for a minimum of 7 all the way up to 11, and we chose to go with 11. They are as follows: Andrew Damron, Eric Housley, Arvind Nishal, Barbara Franco, Eric Knight, Jaime Magana, Katie Garibaldi, Kay Vang, Laura Miller, Whitney Ferris, Wendy Pisha. And our alternates, we chose to go with 4 alternates. We went with Skip Kaiser, Jay Rangel Gonzalez, Carrie Dorman, and Ted Ward as our alternates. Alternates are strongly encouraged to show up at every single meeting. They can participate in the meeting as far as listen, but they aren't an active committee member, but they would be eligible if a committee member, for some reason, and one of the 711 committee members could not make any more of the meetings or something had happened, we would then have an alternate member take that person's spot. Okay. Questions?
Any questions? Thank you.
Can I say one comment just on Mr. Pearson's presentation? I do just want to note, first of all, I want to thank the school planning and construction team for running a very robust process. Hopefully everybody saw all the information up on the website. We have a landing spot right on our homepage that delineates all the information that we're sharing tonight and then some. I do want to say that on our 711 committee that we do have representation. We happen to have representation from the potential impacted schools. And I think that adds value, and there was intentionality around that. I appreciated Ms. Wolf's comment on this item regarding the fact that school districts don't even have to implement the 7-Eleven process. We're choosing to do that, and even in that process, we're making sure that there's voice at the table that has a connection to that community. So I want to commend our team for building the committee with all of that consideration. Or the selection committee for all of that.
I'd like to acknowledge that it's a mix of new faces on a 7-Eleven committee and a few people that have served on the 7-Elevens before. I think it's helpful for a committee to have some experienced members along with some new blood.
Thank you. Item J2, J1A, appointment of trustee of Napa Valley Unified School District Ad Hoc Branding Committee. Any comments or questions?
I'll move the item.
Moved by Mr. Shunk.
Second.
Seconded by
Ms. Martin.
Martin, I'm sorry. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Now, J2A, application for CalCard. Any comments or questions? Then I'll entertain a motion.
Move to approve.
Moved by Mr. Gracia. Second. Seconded by Ms. Waters. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you.
Aye.
Student Board Rep, Ms. Madrigal. I will remember you.
Aye.
Item J2B, Resolution 20-01, authorizing change in liability deductibles. And this is a roll call.
I'll move.
Moved by Mr. Gracia.
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Shunk. I remember him.
Aye.
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 Item J2C, Maintenance and Operations, FMO.
Facilities maintenance and operations.
Thank you.
Sorry about that.
16.01.19, deposition of assets.
So I'm impressed that we have vehicles that have been running for 42 years.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure they didn't have seat belts or smog back then. The average age is 25 years, and over a third of the items are 28 years. So
We could have had our own classic car.
I'd really like to commend the maintenance and operations staff for squeezing out as much diesel or gasoline out of these things as we could. This is amazing.
Our lead mechanic is beside himself. He has worked in the district for 30 some odd years, and he is ecstatic that he's going to have new vehicles to work on. So
It clearly appears that they are necessary.
So I'd be happy to move the item.
Second.
Moved by Mr. Shunk, seconded by Ms. Martin. Ms. Madrigal. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. The NOR System, Inc. District Pool Heater Maintenance.
I'll move.
Moved by Mr. Gracia,
Second.
seconded by Ms. Gonzalez Mares. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Ms. Madrigal?
Aye.
Aye, thank you. I'm going to keep us all awake. Human Services, item J3A.
So can I ask a quick question? Could A, B, C, and D under this item have been handled in consent, or is there some reason we pulled them out into?
You're right, probably, Mr. Shunk.
Yeah.
That's because these are annual.
Fairly routine,
Yeah.
yes.
All right.
Thank you for noting that.
We'll change that.
Well, not now, but in the future.
Item J3A.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Mr. Shunk, seconded by Mr. Gracia. Ms. Madrigal?
Aye.
All in favor?
Aye.
J3B, National University Student Teaching and Practicum Agreement.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Mr. Shunk, seconded by Mr. Gracia.
Aye.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. J3C, San Francisco State Internship Agreement for Special Education Teachers.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Mr. Shunk, seconded by Mr. Gracia.
Aye.
Aye. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Now, item J3D, Sonoma County Office of Education for Northern Coast Intern and Induction Program Memorandum of Understanding.
I'll move.
Second.
Moved by Mr. Gracia, seconded by Mr. Shunk.
Aye.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Request to hire teachers less than fully credentialed.
I'll move.
Moved by Mr. Gracia, seconded by Ms. Gonzalez Mares.
Aye.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Instructional services, item J4A, 2019-20 Migrant Education Implementation Plan.
I'll move.
Moved by Mr. Gracia,
I'll second.
seconded by Ms. Martin. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Almost made it through. Ratification of agreement between TechSmart and Napa Valley Unified School District for educational materials to be used in the computer science course at Vintage High School.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Mr. Gracia, seconded by Mr. Shunk.
Aye.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
I'll just note that Python 1 and 2 are used in data science, which is a big deal for jobs these days.
Next one will require a roll call vote. Amendment to agreement renewal, transition partnership program.
Should we skip over Hinge?
Did we skip over?
J4C?
J4C, yeah.
That's the one we're on.
Oh, I thought we were on transition partnership program is what he announced. Or
No,
I was
agreement. He did a, that's not.
Okay.
Transition.
You changed the numbers. All right.
Did I change the numbers?
Yeah. I print stuff out
No,
over the
J3.
weekend.
Oh, there,
If somebody moved the cheese, I didn't get the cheese.
We're on C, right?
oh, I skipped all the way down here, okay. No, I'm fine. See? J4C, amendment to,
That's where
yeah,
That's where we're at.
All right.
okay.
Yep.
I think I was confused. Drive
Oh,
on.
no, I'm confused. Okay.
You're fine. You're
All right, all right. So,
Amendment.
yes, amendment to agreement renewal transition partnership. Do we have a motion?
Also move.
Second.
Moved by Ms. Waters, seconded by Mr. Shunk. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Oh, it's a roll call.
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
J4D. See? Okay, I'm back on the approval of contract between Napa Valley Unified School District and Pilgrimage, my sister's on a pilgrimage, I'm sorry. Pilgrim Ventures,
I'll move.
I'll second.
moved by Mr. Gracia, seconded by Ms. Martin. All in favor?
Aye.
And Ms. Madrigal?
Aye.
J4E, approval of contract between Adrian Guter and the Napa Valley Adult School.
I'll move.
Second.
Moved by Mr. Gracia, seconded by Mr. Shunk. Ms. Madrigal?
Aye.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Ratification of partnership agreement between Child Start, Inc. and Napa Valley Adult Education / Napa Valley Unified School District Childcare.
I'll move. Second.
Moved by Ms. Gonzalez Mata, seconded by Mr. Gracia.
Aye.
All in favor?
Aye.
J4G, approval of agreement between Napa Valley Unified School District and Kelly Porter for Northwood Elementary School.
I'll move.
I'll second.
Moved by Mr. Gracia, seconded by Ms. Martin. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Ms. Madrigal, thank you. J5, school planning and construction. School planning and construction, 14.2-20, approval of 7-Eleven District Advisory Committee. I have 4 cards. Mr. Ken Leary first. You're good? Jason Hawley?
Thank you again, President, Board, and Superintendent. It's not clear to me from the resolution proposed or the motion proposed if the board is giving direction to the committee related to school closures. It's clear the motion is recommending this group, but it's not clear what direction you're giving to this group. The first question, or perhaps a recommendation, is has there already been a decision for schools, 3, 2, 1 schools need to be closed and pick one? Or is this more of a, as one of the previous speakers spoke, perhaps explore other options to avoid school closures altogether first before launching into de facto school closures? I think the committee would be benefiting from knowing the board's position on this, and maybe you already know your position, but it's not clear to me or to the public, I don't believe. Secondly, as we talk a little bit about the American Canyon Middle School, and I forgot to introduce myself again, American Canyon City Manager Jason Hawley. As we talk about the second middle school at American Canyon, it is a de facto school closure. If the board is going to be proceeding with not building that for the implementation plan, a decision we think that hasn't yet been reached yet, but soon may be, we're talking about a 5th school closure potentially. It would be our recommendation that on the list of schools to be identified for potential closure would be also American Canyon Middle School, number 2. With that, I don't have any other questions or thoughts, but thank you.
Mr. Leon Garcia, the Honorable Leon Garcia.
Thank you again, Leon Garcia, Mayor, City of American Canyon. Appreciate the efforts that's being made here with regard to the 7-Eleven committee and those recommendations. But again, I would say as in my previous comments, in fairness to all families and the school communities in the district, that we look at all the schools, that all that data is on the table. There are no protected interests. It's very transparent. It's the school name, the population of it, the operations of it, if that's included in the process, and come to a decision about that. I think that would be more equitable for everyone. Thank you.
And Mr. Garcia, I don't know why, and it's probably my fault. You and I come from the same technology age.
Yes.
I can't find the email you sent me, so if you could resend it.
Are you referring to the letter?
Oh, the letter?
Or the email?
Oh,
I have a copy of the letter.
I would like a copy of that letter.
Very good. Should I give it?
Because in that case, then it's my fault.
Oh, well, yeah. I'm sorry if I may have got messed up on our end. Well, I don't know what it is, but we'll take care of it now.
No, I may have misplaced it.
All right.
Because I get all my mail.
Well, I get the same blizzard of stuff you get, Silvery. So yeah. Sometimes.
Thank you. I apologize for that.
Should I give that to the secretary? No?
Yes.
Thank you. I give it.
Sabrina Wolfson. You're okay? All right. Okay, we're ready.
I'll move.
Moved by Mr.
Gracia,
I'll second.
second by Ms. Martin. All in favor?
Aye.
Ms. Madrigal?
Aye.
And again, we haven't made a decision yet. As a deliberative body, we wait for the information from committees that we appoint in order to investigate the issues that they're assigned. So, again, there are no decisions that have been made. Schools were identified based on their enrollment, and that number has been public for the last, Mr. Shunk, how many years?
Last several years.
Yeah. So, so we are directing this committee to review the information that we will provide. As I've mentioned to other parents and concerned citizens in the past, that advocacy on the board, on this committee, is not what we're looking for. We're looking for people who can review the information. We look forward to advocacy from parents and residents of the areas that will be affected. Thank you.
Trustee Hurtado, just to keep the message sort of moving along consistently, some folks who are watching or some people in the audience may have attended my meeting back in June that I held regarding the launch of the process and the what and the why. We extended invitations to all 4 school communities that were potentially impacted. And I just want to stay consistent in the message. I did in that meeting share that in order to balance the budget, we did submit a budget that assumed the closure of 2. I explained in that community meeting and in several other sort of discussions that that does not mean that that's the decision. It just means that that was one of the mechanisms that we named for balancing our budget for the future. That was recognized, approved by the Napa County Office of Education, again, as our fiscal authorizer in their second interim letter to us. But what it means is if we come to a conclusion that we will not be closing small schools as a mechanism for balancing the budget, it just means that we'll have to do the cuts elsewhere. So I just want full transparency. Just because the budget had that budget assumption does not mean that the decision is made. It was one of the budget assumptions in which we built our budget model in order to balance. And that budget also did assume, not assuming the operational cost of the second American Canyon Middle School. And again, if those decisions change, it just means that the school district needs to make reductions elsewhere, which could be in the form of various things. Probably too long of a laundry list, but to get to those numbers, we'd be looking at potentially freezing salaries, further certificated classified layoffs, and definitely looking at some reduction of program.
And I would like to thank the citizens who submitted their applications and who are willing to serve on the committee that we just approved. I look forward to their recommendations. Thank you. Item 5, J5B, approval of 3D strategy consulting and brokerage agreement for 7-Eleven committee and Vintage Farm real property. Any comments or questions? I will entertain a motion.
So moved. I'll second.
Moved by Ms. Gonzalez-Mares, seconded by Ms. Martin.
Aye.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Approval, J5C, approval of award contract for finishing kitchen modernization project at Shear Elementary School and McPherson Elementary School to GMH Builders, Inc.
Just one little comment. If we're going to have a new salad bar, let's make sure it's for elementary school kids. Otherwise, I'll motion.
Or the president of the board. I'm sorry, well.
I'll move to approve.
I was tall in 5th grade. After that, it was all over. I'm sorry.
Don't you get shorter every board meeting?
Yes. Moved by Mr. Gracia,
Second.
seconded by Ms. Martin. All in favor?
Aye.
Ms. Madrigal?
Aye.
Thank you. Approval to call for bids for River School Field Project.
So moved?
Second.
Moved by Ms. Gonzalez Mares, seconded by Ms. Water.
Aye.
All in favor? Aye.
Hi. I just wanted to make a quick clarification that this did include actually that we're still building a track. It's just a different kind of track. I was made aware of that when I asked that question earlier, so I just wanted to bring that
Thank you.
to attention.
J5E, School Planning and Construction Disposition of Surplus Assets.
Also move, and I'd like to note that, kitchen equipment is a motif of this meeting.
Second.
Moved by Ms. Water, seconded by Mr. Gracia. All in favor?
Aye.
Ms. Madrigal?
Aye.
Thank you. Approval of Stormwater Specialist, Inc. for a stormwater pollution prevention plan.
I'll move.
Moved by Mr. Gracia,
Second.
seconded by Ms. Martin. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
J5G, approval of Monk and Associates Biological Consulting Services for the new Napa Junction Elementary School Measure H project.
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Gracia,
Second?
seconded by Ms. Gonzalez Mares.
Aye.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
It's a shame the American Canyon folks left before we acted on the Napa Junction items, but thank you for sticking around, Mr. Mayor.
Approval of city engineering and civil surveying services to RSA Sonoma, Inc. for Vintage Farm Project and Vandalier site.
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Gracia,
Second.
seconded by Ms. Martin.
Aye.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. J5I, approval of awards Phase 1 civil package site work to Lathrop contract for the new Napa Junction Elementary School project.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Mr. Gracia, seconded by Mr. Shunk. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Approval of Stormwater Specialist, Inc. to the Stormwater Pollution Prevention Plan for the construction of Snow Elementary School, Measure H.
So moved.
Hold on, I have a question about it. I just was curious, since we're going to be done building the school, why we still needed the plan. Yeah.
There was a clerical error, and normally you're supposed to have this come up ahead of time, but there was a clerical error in bringing this forward to the Board of Education. But we still have to bring it forward to the Board of Education. The work has been done, but we have to bring it forward.
Understood. That makes
Yep.
more sense. Then I'll second.
I did.
Moved by Ms. Martin, seconded by Mr. Gracia.
Aye.
All in favor?
Aye.
Items K, information, human resources, a quarterly report on William uniform complaints, information item.
President Hurtado, in our redesign of the board agenda, we've included Section K, and I just will be adding a statement for future agendas moving forward, 8/22, August 22nd and beyond, just to make it clear for the school board in the shift to the new agenda and for the public. These are merely informational items that do not require any board action. They're just informational for review. If the school board has any questions, they can go ahead and ask them of us, but they do not require any action, and they also provide information to our public.
Thank you.
I appreciate that statement being part of our future agendas, because I think that will be very informative to the general public.
On to item L, board representative reports. I have not met with the special ed, with CAC. I think I have meetings pending.
Yep, and Miss Trustee Jankwitz, who sits on the board representative committee, she serves as a representative for L2 City of Napa Liaison and also L4 Town of Yountville, attended both of those. The other trustees, it was the summertime, and the other trustees that sit on those two committees were unable to attend. So I'm going to request that we do the report out when Trustee Jankwitz is here on 8/22, because she was the board member present at both of those committee meetings.
Thank you.
And we had no American Canyon since the last meeting. Not yet.
Item M, additional suggestions and comments from board members and superintendents. I again want to thank the Yountville community for their engagement in the matters that are really most important to all of us, and that's the health and safety and education of our students. So I look forward to some fruitful discussions around the issues of schools. Yountville, thank you very much for being here. Pass that along to everyone.
I too wanted to mention that I really did appreciate the people that stepped forward to serve on the 7-Eleven committee. I know that that's not an easy task, and there's a lot of responsibility that goes along with that. So I did want to thank the people that did apply and step up to be on that committee.
Yes.
I'd like to thank all the speakers who came up tonight, even if only a couple of them are here now. I've spent several pleasant evenings at school board member meetings. Before I was sitting up here haranguing a couple of you about this and that, and I was struck by something that American Canyon Council member Ken Leary said. He talked about the opulent economy in the Napa Valley, and I agree with him about that. In fact, we might even say it's an ostentatious economy at times. I've been getting lots of letters from the public about our budget situation, and many of them think that we get money from the rather explosive transient occupancy tax. There is money being tossed around, and while there is philanthropy and we're more than grateful, the tourist economy hasn't directly benefited us, and some of the remarks Mr. Leary made about the housing becoming so expensive. You saw the front page story about how the high valuation of Napa Valley real estate. It's great if you already own a house. It's not so great if you're a young family. And he said that and talked about the workers who can't afford to live here driving into town, and it's pretty poignant. I think it's something that everybody in leadership in this community needs to be thinking about and doing something about it. Mm-hmm.
I may not ask to adjourn this meeting yet, because at the end of this meeting will be the last time that we. So I'm going to prolong this by asking if there's any additional suggestions or comments from the board and superintendent.
Yes, so we do. So thank you, President Hurtado. So tonight, we want to take a moment. It is always really difficult when we have to sometimes deal with transitions in our organization, especially when we have employees that demonstrate the level of excellence and service, commitment, and passion for their job. And so it is with a heavy heart, but much enthusiasm and excitement that I want to take a moment in the close of tonight's board meeting to thank Ms. Georgina Martinez, who has served as our executive assistant here to the school board and to the superintendent's office for the last couple of years. She will always be so dear to my heart because she, talking about shepherding, she shepherded me through my first year as a superintendent of schools, and for that I'll always be grateful. And I know that the school board has been just beyond impressed by her caliber, her professionalism, and the impact that she's made in her short time here in the Napa Valley Unified School District. The Benicia Unified School District is very, very blessed, privileged, and lucky to have her. And, I'll try and not be resentful that the superintendent who runs that school district in the town where she lives, where, speaking of not having to commute into the valley, and she's actually going to, I think she's reduced it down to a 7-minute commute. She's going to be able to have that time to herself, which is so well-deserved, because she's an incredible employee, but she's also just really an incredible human being with a very, very big heart. So, Georgina, it's been an absolute pleasure. I know on behalf of all of our team that's here today and on the school board, we want to thank you, and we just have a little token of our appreciation and gratitude. So this reads, this is a Distinguished Service Award, Georgina Martinez, presented by the Napa Valley Unified School District in recognition and appreciation for her exemplary dedication and commitment to the students, families, and employees in NVUSD for her 3 years of service. And then I want to welcome, we have Vera Morales and Julie Prezi, who will be following her footsteps, serving as our executive assistants, will be serving the board. So thank you. Wait, Georgina, you're not done. The school board has something for you.
Okay, and this is a little something. You can put it in the pot and call me up and I'll tell you how not to kill it. Here is a heartfelt card and a gift certificate to one of your favorite places, so we know you will come back to Napa. We are going to miss you. Take care of us.
I love you guys. You're the hardest thing to do. Okay.
Squinch in.
This is you squinching.
I love you. Just the school board. 1, 2, 3.
Falling over everything.
These chairs are heavy. Rosanna started it.
I'm sorry.
I know.
I'm
hard to
super
say
sensitive. It's hard to say goodbye.
Hard to say goodbye to your work family.
It is. We spend more time with them than our own.
Yeah, they notice too.
Oh, yes,
No,
for
good.
CSBA. You will see her in San Diego.
Any future agenda?
Oh, good, we can kidnap you maybe. Ransom.
Oh, my son actually works in 2 high-end dining establishments. We'll,
In San Diego?
yeah,
Oh,
2.
okay.
He hates school, but he loves to work. He's not like his father. If we have no further business, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Ms. Martin, seconded by Mr. Shunk and Mr. Gracia.
Aye.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Okay.